YouTube besties, it's me Jasmine. I am back again with another video, and let's get to it. Today we're gonna do study tips for nursing school. I am currently in LPN nursing school. My goal is to become an aesthetic nurse, and let's get to the video. So I have my two handy dandy tools that I use mainly for studying. This is the study guide. So this is literally like the big textbook all wrapped in a smaller version, like a summary. And here's my thick notebook. I have two of these bad babies, and I'm gonna show you all how I do my notes, how I study, and really good methods to retain information. Now with my school, we use this big old gigantic thick book. It's 57 chapters in it. So within those 57 chapters, they bind like a whole bunch of chapters together, and they created 7 units. I just got done with unit 1. I'm in my second unit right now, and we're gonna go through all 7 units, and that's pretty much reading the whole chapters, like all of them. So it's just crazy, okay? Like it's crazy. So someone asked me a really good question about studying and any good tips, because they're about to be in their second half as well. I think they call it something different. They do it kind of different at that school. And I told them what I'm gonna tell you all, because I was like, that's some really good advice I just gave. Let me take it to YouTube. You know, don't forget to like, subscribe. Please subscribe. I am almost at 500 subscribers. I'm trying to get to 1,000. Y'all know I've been up on here trying to take YouTube series on and off for 5 years. Let's just go ahead and get to it. Let me get them 1,000 subscribers. Okay, so what I do first is I use my study guide. I will open it up, and whatever I'm feeling like I have trouble in, I go to that chapter and I read the things that, the questions that they have for you to answer. And I go to my textbook and I turn to that chapter, the pages, and I just start answering those questions. Now, this is very important. As I'm answering these questions and write them down in this study guide, write down in your book. Don't be afraid to get your books dirty and messy. Like, you know, I bought these books used on Amazon. They were so neat. This book did not have no writing in it, and it was used. This book was super neat and barely any writing in it, and it was used. And I'm like, I don't know how them people study, but get down and dirty. Do not be afraid to highlight. Let me show you. Do not be afraid to highlight in your book. Do not be afraid to put little side notes in your book, because you have to retain this stuff. Do not be afraid to write in your study guide. People get study guides from schools all the time and never ever use them. These study guides are so important, and on top of that, they have tests in them. After every chapter, it's a test. So use these tools. Now, back to what I was saying. When you're using this method of looking in the study guide and answering the questions from the textbook, read this stuff out loud. So if I have to answer something like, let me see, I'm gonna go back to you know, the easiest chapter ever, chapter 1. Just something simple like the duties and responsibilities of an LPN, LVN are determined by the what? You want to read that out loud, and you want to find the answer and say the answer out loud. And then you're going to write it down, the answer, and say it out loud, and read that question back to yourself and the answer to yourself out loud, because you want to say it and you want to hear it. You want to hear yourself saying it. People do not read out loud to hear themselves saying it. I don't know if they feel like they're talking to themselves or what, but ain't nothing wrong with sometimes talking to yourself when it comes to things like this. Read out loud so you can retain that information really well. This is a good way of pretty much how you have to teach yourself, you know? So reading out loud when you're answering the questions out of your study guide. Use your study guide. A lot of people do not use their study guide. I've been in school multiple times, and it's so many times I would be the only one using my study guide, like when I was in cosmetology school. Like, you know? So anyway, you know, use your study guide. Next, take notes and make sure your notes are extremely neat. I don't have the perfect handwriting, but my handwriting is not perfect. But my notes are clear. You can read them, you can see them. And then on top of that, even highlight the key points in your notes as well. So like you highlight in your book as well, and you highlight the key. My baby done wrote all on my book. you highlight the keynotes in your notes as well, because you're going to go back in your notes and you're going to go back in your study guide, and you should be able to put those two together, and they should be able to be like very similar to each other. Be like, okay, yeah, I studied this is my note I wrote for this, and then you could go back in your study guide and it could confirm it. You should be able to, stuff that you don't have as your notes, you should be able to go back in this and you put those together. You study the notes and the study guide, because I'm telling you, trying to just study this book all by yourself and that's all you study, that is not gonna help. Especially, like I said, if you do not read out loud. You have to read out loud. So those are my tips, y'all. Those are my tips. Read out loud so you can hear it, you can retain it, sometimes even repeating it. That's another good tip. You know, highlighting. Don't be afraid to highlight in your textbook. Don't be afraid to highlight in your notebook. Write really good, clean notes and use your study guide. Okay, y'all? Everybody have a stay focused. We can get through this together. Nurse life, okay? And I'll see you all in the next video. I'm thinking about doing a, a Christmas Vlogmas or something like that. So I'm thinking about doing that. You all stay tuned. Have a blessed day. Deuces.